Welcome to Cotel News, the only media house that brings you an explainer every Saturday and Sunday on what you ought to know. At no cost, at no fees, you will be able to get us on all channels, social media platforms, on TikTok, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, every Friday, every Saturday and Sunday. This is the explainer that we are going to deal with a question. How do you now dissolve a marriage? A big question. We have 5 marriages. What are the known grounds to dissolve a marriage? A very, very critical question. And how is the process of dissolving a marriage? The first thing that you need to know is that all marriages are dissolved in a court of law. Don't go to the village and try to dissolve a marriage in the village. You must go before a competent court of law for dissolving a marriage. Number 2, what are the grounds known by law to dissolve a marriage? There are only 5 grounds known by law. The first ground is adultery. What does the law define adultery to be? That a person married has carnal knowledge with another person outside the marriage. Mark the words. Not a relationship that does not result into carnal knowledge. There must be proof that there has been sex in that marriage outside marriage. And this is a serious ground, because once you raise adultery, the person who was a party, the intruder, the third person, must be brought to court. You must sue. If it is your wife who has a relationship outside, you will sue the wife plus the man they are sleeping with. If it is the woman, you will sue the woman from that man. And if the court finds this true, this man has been sleeping with somebody's wife, this woman has been sleeping with somebody's husband, that third thief, sexual thief, must pay a certain compensation. So it is a very serious ground to prove. You must either produce a child who has been born and you go for DNA testing and that child comes out that this child does not belong to Omari. This child belongs to another person. Or material evidence, serious material evidence to prove adultery. It is not easy just to make allegations that my wife is in an adulterous relationship, my husband is in an adulterous relationship. Courts are very careful, because many men who are scared of the success of their wives, when they see these wives taking coffee with their colleagues who they work with, they will say, my wife is having a relationship. Or the wives who are not sure in their marriage, they will allege, this man is having a multiplicity of wives. That's ground number 1. Ground number 2 is the ground of desertion, where the people who are married, by law, they are expected to be sharing a matrimonial bed. But practically, you'll realize that very many marriages, one, people are either living together as partners without sharing a bed in terms of sex. Two, these people are living together, but they are not together. Third, the man left, and that's the new trend nowadays. Men walk away, leave the woman at the matrimonial home. He disappears. This man is being looked for. This man can't be found. This woman is being looked for. This woman is not found. This woman went to Dubai. She has never come back home. This man went to Qatar. This woman, you have deserted the matrimonial home. If the duration is long, it can be the ground for having a divorce. The third ground is critical deprivation, where one, there is a legitimate expectation that the partner, especially the husband, is to provide for basic services for a wife: food, clothing, shelter, medication, attention, being there, and company. The woman is also expected to have this. It also leads to provision for what is called consummation, the conjugal rights. Once this ground is proved, because this brings out the concept that the other party is finding it completely hard to be able in this marriage, because he or she has been deprived what is necessary and known to be a provision by law in a marriage. The fourth ground is cruelty. Cruelty is so enlightenable. Cruelty is not beatings only. Cruelty can be battery, beating up a woman. I know some cultures, very archaic, think that a woman must be beaten. Because if you don't beat a woman, then you don't love her. So you beat her. And you are going to court and say, what is the problem? My culture allows me to beat her. That will be a ground for divorce. Issue of cruelty that is called mental. Stonewalling. A man comes to the house. He has never talked to his wife for 30 years. He's just there. He's a zombie that is quiet. A woman has never talked, a wife has never talked to a man. That is cruelty. Text messages and telephone calls. A wife calls you, you block her. A wife calls you, you block her. A husband texts a message, you don't respond. That is cruelty. Cruelty is enlargeable. It is what the other party cannot contain. If that character, that conduct, the other party thinks it's being cruel, that is the reason. You are a wife, you brought 20, 30 relatives of yours into the house. You are a husband, you have turned your wife into a hotel kitchen to cook for 100 of your villagers every time she's cooking. You are taking your wife to the village to cook for funerals. This is a graduate who was born in Nairobi. She has never known how to cook with jiko. You are taking her to cook. That is cruelty. So it will depend what the other party looks at and defines it as cruelty. Even dressing. If your mode of dressing is not agreeable with the other party, that is an act of cruelty. You are provoking the other person. The other person is not comfortable. You are a man, you are wearing earrings, your wife doesn't want that. You are a lady, you are insisting on wearing a miniskirt because the law allows you to decide what mode of dress you wear. The man goes to court and raises that issue. Then you think the court will help you. Cruelty is as large, it is expanded to anything the other party does not feel comfortable with. And the last ground for divorce, it is what is called irreconcilable differences. That the differences cannot be discussed. These differences might look petty to other people. These differences, according to one party, marriage is an institution for the word "I'm sorry." If that being sorry is not accepted, then that person is insisting this matter has not been resolved. If that person moves ahead and says, I cannot forgive you for this, we cannot reconcile over this. You are a man who decides that your wife must always cook ugali, for a big mountain of ugali. And the lady is saying, I cannot. I cannot. You insist that that is the bare minimum. Over that issue about the sufuria and the amount of ugali, that is a difference that will go to the church, you go to the pastor, you go to the bishop, it fails to be reconciled. You go to your parents and her parents, it is failed to be reconciled. You move to your colleagues, it can't be reconciled. Any difference that cannot be reconciled, where it is not about the other party saying this is so petty. It is the one saying, for this one, we have tried and it cannot be reconciled. If those grounds are there, the last part is you now move to a court of law, a magistrate's court. You file your papers. You give reasons, the ones I've given here. They are called particulars of why the divorce must be granted. In the court, you might be wanting a divorce, and the other party saying, me, I'm not ready for the divorce. Previously, the law was categorical that if one person is not interested to divorce, then this marriage must be saved. The law has changed. The jurisprudence has changed. The reasons being that many murders being committed in marriages is because either the parents are forcing the wife or the daughter to remain in that marriage, or the son to remain in that marriage. The church or religious institutions are saying, no, it is not good to divorce. And the courts were reluctant to give the divorce. And the matters of divorce could stay in court 10, 20 years. So now the law is very simple. If an adult who is above 18 years files a matter in court and says, I want to divorce, whether you fight back and say, me, I'm not ready for the divorce, the court will grant the divorce. You cannot force somebody to be in a marriage who has decided to leave. This person, either the husband or the wife, willingly joined. There was a mind, they agreed to marry. So today, the law is, if somebody feels, it is over. It is over. And lastly, what are the consequences of divorce The first time, the court will give you what is called a divorce nisi. A divorce nisi is a temporal document telling you, okay, I have granted you divorce, but I'm not sure whether you can change your mind. Because only a dead fool in a mortuary does not change a mind. So the court gives you 30 days to go, the two of you, and think. It is called a divorce nisi. After 30 days, you come back to court. You might have reconciled. Then again, the divorce is not granted. You go back as a husband and wife. But if you come to court and say, our decision still stands, then the court will issue a document called a divorce decree absolute. That absolute must be taken to the registrar of marriages. Remember, the marriage certificate you received came from the registrar of marriages. The registrar of marriages has a register of all marriages that have been conducted in this country. Therefore, the register is cancelled, that you now have no marriage. And what are the consequences? You become a girl called a spinster. You become a bachelor called a boy. You can marry again. You can enter into a marriage afresh. That marks the end of marriage, the divorce. So wait, stop telling people that dowry was returned. So me, I'm simple, I'm not married. Marriage is dissolved in court. Continuous separation. That you have separated from your wife, from your husband for 20, 30 years. That person, when that person dies, she will be brought to your home as your wife. You will bury that wife of yours. That wife of yours who went 30 years ago is still your wife. Anybody she went staying with, she was there as a concubine. Only a court of law can dissolve a marriage. And only a marriage registrar can conduct a marriage. So marriages are not dissolved anywhere. Those are kangaroo courts, and a court of law is a court where there is always the coat of arms, and you appear before a magistrate or you appear before a judge. That marks the end of this episode. We have one more episode coming, which is explosive. Are you intending to marry a Muzungu? My girls, Muzungus are rich. They have money. Is your interest in marrying a foreigner who has money, who drives, not a border? What can be an impediment to achieve that question? Follow the next episode on what is called a no impediment certificate issued by the Registrar of Marriages. Thank you very much, Wakili Danstan Omari, for the episode from Cotel News. Thank you.